All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Looks like there's only a few of you here, so it'll be pretty casual, and we can keep it as kind of a conversation. But yeah, let's get started. And in terms of timing, this will probably just be a 25 to 30 minute presentation, so shouldn't take too much time. All right. Cool. All righty. So machine learning for creativity, tools to use, and what is it? So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. Let me introduce myself. My name is Kai Middlebrook. I am the director of machine learning at Breakout Mentors, a data engineer and data scientist at Referral Exchange, which is a real estate technology company that uses machine learning and data to find buyers and sellers of homes the best agents in their local markets. I'm the founder of Music AI, which uses artificial intelligence to discover emerging artists and connect them with record labels. And then I'm the co-creator of Heart Bio Portal, which is the largest human cardiovascular disease genetics data platform in the world. So yeah, a little bit about me. Now, let's go into the cool stuff. So today we're going to talk about, again, creativity tools for AI. And one of those is machine learning voice generation. So this website is called Fake You. We're going to go to it. So I encourage everybody. I will drop a link in the chat, but I encourage everybody to visit this link and check it out and see what you can build with it. So as an example, and this will be very interactive. So, I'll show you basically how to use the tool a little bit, talk a little bit about the tool, and then give you a couple minutes to play around with it, and then we'll come back and things like that. So as an example, this is Fake You, which uses text to speech. So basically we're going to type in our text here, and then it's going to come out in the voice that we requested. So as the first example, I looked up Elon Musk's voice, and he's going to introduce us to today's presentation. So here, if we take a look at the results, so I press speak, it generated it for me, and here's the results.
Hello and welcome to today's presentation by Breakout Managed Machine Learning.
And as a quick question, are you guys able to hear that? You can just type into the chat and let me know if you can hear that audio that I just played. Could you guys hear that or no? Yes? Okay, great. Awesome. Yeah. So as an example, right? So we just had Elon Musk basically introduce our presentation. Pretty cool. There's a ton of other voices in here. Like we could try, let's try, let's see. Let's try Frank Sinatra. Okay. And we'll press speak. It's going to generate, it's going to run inference. So basically that means it's going to use the machine learning model, take a look at the text, and then figure out how Frank Sinatra might say this. And then let's give it a listen.
Hello and welcome to today's presentation by Breakout Mentors Machine Learning.
So as you can see, it could be kind of funny, a little bit goofy, but still really, really cool. And, there's a lot of applications of this, which we can talk about in a second, but why don't we take a few minutes, a couple minutes for everybody to give it a try, and then share. So why don't you do this? So after you're done generating something, click the permalink and then share that permalink with the chat, if you want. So I'll give you guys 2 minutes to throw something together, get creative, and then we'll come back. All right, awesome. That was about 2 minutes, maybe 3. I've got a cool little example with Daffy Duck, but I would love for you guys, if you are interested or willing, to drop your examples, a link to them into the chat, so we can check them out together. It'd be a lot of fun. Obviously, make sure they're appropriate, but yeah, if anybody's interested, I'll wait about 30 seconds to let people drop in their examples into the chat. If nobody does, then we'll just move on to the next tool. All right, looks like we don't have any takers. That's fine. I'll show my example here. So here's Daffy Duck introducing us to the presentation.
Hello, and welcome to today's presentation by Breakout Mentors Machine Learning.
So yeah, as you can see, I would say that's pretty accurate. I think that's a little bit more realistic than the Frank Sinatra sample we had. But yeah, the opportunities and like possibilities are pretty pretty wild, and you can be very, very creative with it. So that's awesome. That's very, very cool. All right, so let's go on to the next tool. So after Fake You, I'm going to talk a little bit about something very similar, which is a tool that was just acquired for a lot of money by Spotify called Semantic. So I'm going to pull that up here, and I'll share that link in the chat so people can pull it up if they want to. But basically what this tool does is it's an enhanced version of what we saw in Fake You, right? So you could type things, but there's a key issue, that a feature, I guess, that we're missing in Fake You that you would like to see if you wanted to make this more into something really, really useful for production teams, in industry. And that would be things like individual word emphasis, or intonation. So like maybe we want to have more emphasis on breakout or breakout mentors. And maybe we want to de-emphasize the word to, or, things like that. Maybe we want to really make a point to pause after we say presentation, things like that. In this current tool, that's not available, but in Semantic, they built a very purpose-built tool for things like that. So you could literally, create a visual game, a digital game, and you have no voice character. You don't have the money or the time or the resources to be able to get voice actors. So you might use a tool like Semantic to generate voices for the characters in the digital world that you created, the digital game, or like, the cartoon you created or whatever. And here's kind of example here, and I'll let people check it out on their own time. But basically, if you see here, you're able to essentially write a script like this, and put it all together, and then
Name that's pronounced unusually.
you can you basically are able to tailor the word enunciations and the emphasis and intonations word by word as you go. So it really allows a lot of customizability and personalization to it. So it feels very organic.
I want to pronounce that.
Ifan,
You can put emphasis on different parts of the word.
Ifan. Ifan.
And then you can just add it to the dictionary. So this is perfect for prototyping, and all of these options are available in the Semantic command line and API. Maybe we're making a cutscene.
So yeah, so that's like a cool little synopsis of, like where you can take these tools. There's just so much that you can do with them. They're really, really incredible. I encourage everybody to check them out. All right, so let's move on to the next tool. Well, actually, before I do that, let me talk a little bit about machine learning real quick. So machine learning, we're seeing it everywhere. It's, definitely the buzzword, machine learning, AI. Everybody knows about them, hears about them a lot, but, what is it, right? So we see it everywhere, but what is machine learning? A pioneer of machine learning back in 1956 or 59, Arthur L. Samuel, he is quoted saying, machine learning is the field of study that gives computers the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. And what that essentially, how you can think of it is in traditional programming, we have our input X, our program f of X, and it produces an output Y. In machine learning, we have our input X, then this additional term, parameters here, that gets input into a model instead of a program, where it takes in f of X, but also this extra additional parameter set. That's going to produce our Y, and then we're going to measure it based on some way that we measure our performance. And then we're going to update the parameters over and over again until we get the result we want. So the big difference between traditional programming and machine learning is when it's really hard to define the input output relationship, so the relationship between our X and Y by hand, we want to use a machine learning model to learn that relationship from data. And this is where machine learning really excels, is when we have a lot of data and we have some complex thing we're trying to understand or model. Machine learning is great. Trying to do that by hand through a traditional computer program is very difficult. So, the main thing to keep in mind with machine learning is basically when we can't find the pattern in the data ourselves, it's always useful generally to turn to machine learning to try to find that pattern for us. So machine learning can handle complex data, and to kind of explain a little bit about how these tools are working that we just used. Basically what they're going to do is they're taking complex data, nonlinear data, so data that's really abstract and not necessarily follows this straight linear pattern where you can separate it easily. And it's using a bunch of parameters inside of a model, sometimes billions of them, to model the data. So what can the data be? It can be things like images. So we could take in hundreds of thousands of images of various things. It could be things like video. So hundreds of thousands of video frames, text, books and books and books upon books, all of the internet basically of text that we have available can be input, and then also sound. So in the sense of probably the algorithms that were being deployed for the tools we just used, like with FakeU, they're using a combination of text and sound data to generate these very unique machine learning models that are able to model human speech with specific styles to with high accuracy. So pretty cool. All right, so now let's go to the next thing. This tool is called Deodify, and Deodify is a really cool tool to colorize and restore old black and white photos and things like that. So basically, I'll go through a little quick thing here, but you'll take an old photo like this here, and we see it's in black and white, and we'll put it through the Deodify machine learning algorithm, and it'll produce a colorized image of that with colors that the algorithm thinks are relatively accurate. So what we're going to actually do, this will be a little bit more interactive, is we're going to go through this notebook here. So I'll share the link to the notebook right now. And I encourage everybody to open up that link and give it a try and interact with it yourself. And don't worry if you don't know a black and white image or anything off the top of your head, that's totally fine. You'll be able to find some off of the application, the Reddit thread here. So if you guys are new to Google Colab, I'll do a really, really brief little run through, and this is similar to kind of some of the early code that students write in our machine learning program. They learn how to use this environment, Google Colab, which gives them access to advanced computer systems, and they're called GPUs, for processing lots of data very fast. So what we did here is we booted up the Colab notebook. I ran a cell, so you can press play here, and that will basically start the notebook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart, just so you guys can see. Oh, let's see here. Okay, yeah, here we go. So this is a fresh notebook. Now it's going to connect to a runtime, and then I'm going to run this. I'm going to press run anyway. And then you can just ignore that output. then we're gonna just continue to press play on each cell. So we're gonna, and this is basically gonna set up our coding environment so that we can produce these new colorized images. So I've booted up this cell. Once you get the check mark, that generally means it's complete. Now we're gonna install our related code. As you can see, it's loading up things. And again, I highly encourage you guys to boot this up yourself as well and give it a good try. Very cool. So now we're going to run this. It looks good. Now we're gonna load up the pre-trained machine learning model and load it into an object here. We just loaded it and it's still processing. Give it a moment. It's a big model. Well, bigger. All right, cool. Now we're gonna go to this step. So this is the instructions to be able to colorize a picture. So basically, we're gonna take a source URL of a picture we wanted to colorize. And then we can adjust this thing called a render factor, which is basically a parameter that it takes in that the model uses to adjust how much it colorizes an image in different settings. It doesn't necessarily correlate, one-to-one with higher number being more colorization. But so this is part of the art of it. You gotta play around with it for different pictures and see what works best. And then watermark is a safety precaution that's always a good idea to include if you're doing anything with AI generated images. So cool. So let's do this. Let's go to this the way we were Reddit here. And here's an old picture right here, looks like. And I'm going to copy image address and then paste it into here. And I'm going to press play. Now let's see if hopefully we get a colorized image here. Give it a second to run. As we can see down here, it's running a bunch of steps and boom, look at that. Would you look at that? So that's pretty good. So the original, as we can see, the original picture, right, is this of this family in Missouri, sharecropper family in Missouri. And it's, black and white, right? And as you can imagine, if this was your family or you like going through history stuff, it's pretty cool to recolorize stuff and see it more as it might be taken today. And here it is. So as you can see, this model is not completely perfect, and I could absolutely adjust this rendering factor here to see how we do. As we can see, it doesn't look like it totally got his hands. It looks like this kid's overalls are not completely colorized, but I would say, pretty good for a first pass. And that's, before and after difference. Now let's look at various degrees of changing the rendering factor. This is that parameter I mentioned earlier. So it's generating several. So that's at rendering factor 10. Okay, all right, so we got a bunch now. So rendering factor 10 looks like the color imbalance. We got some high saturation and then a lot of, still black and white. So probably not ideal. 12, again, we see these saturation spots, not great. Looks like I think that's the wife is completely still black and white mostly. All right, now at 14, we're starting to see a little bit more of equal weighting of black and white to color, but still we get these saturation patches, which isn't great. 16, again, these patches are going away, but not perfect. 18 is pretty good, I would say. Still, we see that the hand is not colored, but and we still have these patches, but overall, it's not looking terrible. 20, 22, the saturation patches are starting to go away. 24, still seeing them, but we're getting more color. I would say healthier color. 26 looks pretty good. 26, 28 looks pretty solid. 30 looks pretty good. At least for, you know, the humans in the picture. And there's 34. So that's what we did. And then 36 and 38 here, we can see we're starting to get some of the saturation back a little bit. 38 I would say looks pretty good though. But yeah, so yeah, I again encourage you guys, if you have any old pictures that you want to do for your family too, this is a great little tool to check out. So yeah, so that's Deodify. Now let's go on to a new tool here. All right, so showed Deodify, which is an image colorizer. Now we're gonna go to a cool one, really cool one. I mean, they're all cool, but Dream Studio is a new state-of-the-art machine learning algorithm. Here, let me drop in the link. And you do have to sign in or sign up through like a Google account or something. But Dream Studio basically is a text to image generator. Really, really cool stuff here using state-of-the-art technology. But rather than talk too much about it, I'll just show you guys. So here we're gonna, let's say I have a wild imagination and I want to generate, what would basically a painting look like of a distant galaxy by Casper David Frederick in matte paintings trending on ArtStation. So what would that look like? So I'm gonna press Dream and let's give it a shot. So there you go. That's a first pass rendering of what that might look like. And again, really encourage you guys to check this out, try it out. And let's try 3 images in this. But let's take away by Casper David Frederick. Let's say by Salvador Dali painting trending on ArtStation. Let's try that out, see what we get. Wow. So yeah, I would say this definitely looks like, this one especially to me looks like something Dali could and totally would create. So yeah, I encourage everybody to play around with this, see how you feel about it. You know, things like that. This one's pretty cool too. But yeah, and then there's another cool thing you can do. So if you don't have ideas for prompts, you know, what should I type in here? Here is a website that would be helpful for you. So it is called Prompt Mania. So I'll drop that in the chat. You can use this website. I'll use an example. So let's choose. So beautiful symmetric face. So base image, we're gonna do sphere. Let's say dimensionality. It's going to be 3D with, I don't even know what this might look like, a 5-dimensional face. Let's try to get crazy. Do we want to mimic the style of an artist? Let's try with, oh, this artist looks cool. Asif Hanuka, and I apologize if I'm getting that name wrong. And let's say, let's say, let's try this. So let's try putting this in, let's say a home, a dream home. A dream home in a Green Mountain Valley by Asif Hanuka, 3D 5-dimensional. So let's give that a shot, see what we get. And it might be real weird. Whoa. Cool. Wow, this is funky. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, while I'm playing around with this, I encourage you guys to play around with it. If you get anything cool, share it. Feel free to share it with the group if you want. Let's try something like this. Darth Vader commanding of Yodas. By trending, and then let's say 4K trending on ArtStation. Okay, Darth Vader commanding a group of Yodas. Let's give it a shot, see what we get. So this is kind of cool, right? Kind of cool. In that the style of that artist. Now let's try taking away the artist. Group of Yodas to fly. Let's try generating 3 images. Okay, so this one is funky. Looks like they're all using the force to fly. Yoda is somehow in there a little bit. I think Yoda's is probably confusing it a little bit, but that's normal. Here we got, this one looks pretty cool. Darth Vader dancing. Oh, that might be a good idea for a prompt. Let's try that. Darth Vader. Dancing. High quality 4K trending on ArtStation. Let's try that. Okay, so as you can see, these ones are pretty funky. You know, and you can adjust things like these parameters here to get a lot, you know, a lot different of output. So if we take it to, let's take it to 100 steps and see what we get. So let's try that. Oh, I didn't take Deodify on the other dancing. Let's try that. See what we get. All right. So I don't know exactly what the model is thinking here, but pretty funny nonetheless. And you can get really creative. I mean, I've seen some incredible work here. As an example, another cool thing you can do is with this show editor tool, you can actually upload an image. So I'm going to upload an image that I had found earlier on Unsplash. See if it works. Okay, so we have an image here, and one of the really cool things that you can do, looks like Dream Studio might be freezing. Dang. Okay, well, I guess we will move on to the next segment here, unless I can get it to work. But yeah, so basically what you can do if you get a chance on your computer, you do this, you press upload image, you get your image in there, and then you can do mask. So maybe I'll try with a smaller image and see if that works. Okay. All right, so here's a smaller image. And what I'm gonna say is, oh, we want to resize this image. What I'm going to say here is, in this portion of the picture, everything that I'm masking out this is going to insert that whatever prompt I say. So let's think of something like, what is a good example? What's something a modern luxury or modern cabin in the woods or in the mountains. Let's just say a modern cabin. Let's try that and see how it goes. Okay, so now we're going to say dream. It's going to run a few times. And then boom, as we can see in our image, we've now got a modern cabin in our valley here. So you can get really creative with this, do tons of stuff with it. Really, really cool, very exciting. You could even upload, like a picture of yourself and say like you want to give yourself horns or the style of, make it in the style of a certain anime or something, and create something really cool. Now, that's all I'll show for this tool, but the last couple of things I'll talk about is absinthe. So absinthe is a really cool little thing that uses machine learning, just like Dream Studio. All of these tools use machine learning. They're based off of machine learning and they pretty much rely on it. Absinthe will take a painting. So you would basically take a still frame, and we'll just watch the video. But
You want to get in my phone?
so what they're doing here is they have a video, and then they have a keyframe here from that video, but it's in an art style. And then absinthe will match the video in the style that this keyframe is for the whole rest of the video, which is really, really incredible, as you can see here. And tons of applications for creative people.
Don't have those species. Yes, you don't almost have nothing in those daggers.
Especially for people who want to make, video games or little short films and things like that. Really, really powerful. So that's enough of this, but yeah, so really encourage people to also check out absinthe. I'll drop a link in the chat. There we go. And yeah, and then so what you can imagine here is you have a video, right? And then you take a keyframe from that video, so a still image from that video, you upload it to Dream Studio, and then you tell Dream Studio that you want this picture to be in the style of Salvador Dali, right? And then you iterate until you get something that you really like, and then you would upload it into Absinthe with the video, and it would create the video in that style. So really, really cool application here. So yeah, so then the last thing I'll wrap up with is there is this final tool called DrawAnyone, and we won't cover it too much. We won't really cover it at all here, but it's similar to Dream Studio in the sense that it's generating images from based on styles and things like that. So I dropped the link in the chat, but you can create like little profile pictures in the style of like anime, film that you really like, or series that you really like, or maybe a cartoon and things like that. So I encourage you guys when you're offline and we're done with this presentation to go check that out, give it a try, upload a little selfie or whatever, and then get creative with it, see what you can do. If you got anything cool, feel free to send it to me in my email. So that's pretty much the conclusion of the presentation. But basically, what we covered today was a bunch of state-of-the-art machine learning tools that run and are powered by machine learning. And they have really cool creative applications. We saw Fake You, which basically generates synthetic audio in the style of a certain person based on the text you input into it. Then we saw this Semantic, which basically gives a little bit more customization, but is not open source. We covered a little bit about what machine learning was. Then we looked at Deodify, which talks about colorization and shows how you can colorize and restore old black and white photos using machine learning. And we went through the Google Colab notebook, which is a lot more similar to how students learn machine learning in our program and then build out applications that people can start to use. Then we covered the cool one, another really cool one, which is Dream Studio for text to image generation, Absinthe, which you can combine the two to make awesome animated video. And then DrawAnyone is a cool thing you guys can check out later. So lots of cool creative applications here. And at Breakout Mentors, we really focus on getting people to be able to build out these applications on their own. And we do this in a three-pronged approach by basically teaching the whole game, getting people to code right away and build out projects right away. They're not bogged down too much by theory. They learn theory as you go. So you're really learning, like what I call it, learn by doing. And then we're removing barriers to try to learn machine learning. So machine learning requires a lot of data and a lot of powerful computers. And we give students, we show them how to access that compute and that data for free so they can really get creative with whatever ideas they have in mind, and build it and then release it and show it off to their friends, family, and colleges and things like that. So if you're interested and want to learn more, you can always sign up for a phone call with me at this link here. I'll drop it in the chat. And you can basically, we'll talk a little bit about your background, what your interests, and if it's the right fit for you to join our program. If you want to learn a little bit more about machine learning at Breakout Mentors, feel free to go to this link here. Which I've dropped in the chat. And then, as always, if you prefer email, you can email me at the email in the chat. So yeah, again, thank you everybody for coming out. Really hope everybody had a presentation where they learned something, took something away that was interesting to them. And again, thanks for spending a little bit of your Wednesday afternoon with me. So I'll let everybody go, but thank you and have a good one.